What's the haps people, Officer Dan here with another install vid. This time we're going to be tackling the S14, S15 R33 and R34 Weld-in subframe reinforcement plates. You're going to get some strange looking bits in the box, and here's what they are. We're going to start off with the Diff toe braces, the traction arm braces, the LCA front braces and the LCA rear braces, and lastly, the Camber arm braces. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. Know more by peeping the welding guide at GKTECH.com for the nitty-gritty. It has all the important information you need, including where the plates go, how to weld them, how to stitch weld, and any other pieces of information you may need. Starting with the camber arm braces, make sure to check for clearance to make sure that the arm moves freely before you weld. Mark out where the plate's going to go, then use your tool of choice to clean up the area, making the metal bare for welding. Now proceed to stitch weld this plate 10 to 15 millimeters apart, as stated in the previous mentioned welding guide. Moving on to the traction arm, clean it up just like we did before. Then you're going to need to spot weld it on all four corners to hold it in place. Then you're going to lay down those dimes, lol, 10 to 15 millimeters apart all the way around. Look at those beautiful metal worms. Moving on to the front lower control arm plates, grab your paint pen and mark out the spot welds as well as the outside. Clean it up nice and pretty like. Toss the LCA in and torque to the specs shown here. Now use the holes to spot weld to hold it in place. Then lay down the rest of your spot welds 10 to 15 millimeters apart as we've done. You may need to hammer it down just a little bit to get it to fit nice and flush with the subframe. Now finish off the spot welds as pro as we did here. Move on to the rear LCA mount. Go ahead and finish the spot weld holes there, and then lay down your 10 to 15 millimeter apart beads now. Now flip the subframe over and finish off those stitch welds. You can now remove the LCA and weld inside, making sure that it doesn't interfere with the lower control arm itself. Now we weld the diff plates. Now this has part of the toe arm attached to it, so make sure to mark the entire plate as shown here. Then get your clean on, making sure to get all the paint off to get them dimes rolling. Now toss in the toe arm. We're using a stock one shown here. Remember, we're throwing these arms in to keep the metal from deforming on the subframe itself. And then torque that thing down to spec. Hold the brace in place and then spot weld all the corners. Now turn the subframe over and spot weld the toe arm plate. Now this one you will probably need to massage with a hammer as needed. This will ensure it's flush. Then get your spot weld on again, 10 to 15 millimeters apart as stated before. Don't forget to weld where the white arrows are around the actual diff mount. Now flip it over and spot weld the toe arm mount. You guessed it, 10 to 15 millimeters apart. And there you go. Clean up your welds as you see fit. Now either paint it or take it to get powder coated to keep it from rusting out of your chassis. You too can have a beautiful subframe again, looking more fresh than the day it came from the factory. Now's the time to toss on some GKTECH subframe and diff bushings to get it 100% dialed and ready to rock. Toss it back on the car and proceed to shred with the knowledge that your subframe is beefy AF. Officer Dan, out. Also, check these rad dudes on the YouTubes.